As the sport grows bigger and bigger each year, it's interesting to look back and see just how far it's come. Long before the legends, the Hall of Famers, even before when there was a basket, one event stood out. Not a world championship or a US title, nothing major, just an event where the winner took home a brand new car. Let's take it back, and I mean way back, all the way to 1974, when disc golf was a baby, where they used frisbees as discs and chicken wire in the ground for baskets. 1974 American Flying Disc Open, here we come. Now, before we get to the actual event, we need to paint a picture for where the sport is at this moment. Disc golf has been around for some years now, but it hadn't taken off quite the way it could have. The Rose Bowl event was a huge deal, where they had multiple frisbee competitions using the Steady Ed version of discs. Now, Wham-O was the big dog at the time. Frisbees were patented for the time being as used for multiple disciplines. If a company came up with something close or similar, it was possible Wham-O would just buy them out. The focus at the time was the discs, but not even close to what we have now. The beveled edge hasn't been created yet, so courses were much smaller due to the fact that you couldn't throw discs as far. Another thing was that Steady Ed had yet to create his patent for the disc golf basket. So the targets at the time were very different. Sometimes objects, usually poles, were used to play the sport. Hit the pole counts as being in. As the sport was spreading alongside other disciplines, frisbee culture became bigger, something worth traveling for. That's where we come in. Before the 1974 Flying Disc Open, there were some events that big name players were participating in. The Octad and the Northwestern Frisbee Tournament were those events. Players were starting to travel to compete, with promotions through frisbee magazines and just the culture overall made it that word got around. And how else would you market an event? Winner takes home a car. A 1974 Datsun B210. Look at this freaking beauty. Now, this is literally 26 years before I was born, so I have no understanding of this car. But for some of you old timers, maybe you know more than I do. Datsun doesn't make cars anymore, that much is clear, after their brand name was scrapped by its parent company, the Nissan Motor Company. Funny enough, I actually drive a Nissan. So at this time, the biggest promotion so far would be the car. Players would travel the US to come to play this event, which we will get into in just a moment. But the car, valued at that time between $2,000 to $4,000. Prices are conflicting, but it's in that ballpark. So a bit of cheddar for a frisbee event. Allegedly, tournament director Jim Palmieri put up his own money for the car and didn't have it paid off until years and years later. I say allegedly because there's not much in writing about these events back then, but that's what was rumored. Jim probably bought the car, but I don't know about how long it took him to get it paid off. Now for the juicy part, I have a guy on the inside. Let me introduce to you guys John Kirkland, PDGA number 100. I got a chance to talk to John over the phone while, funny enough, he was on his drive to play a round of disc golf. He told me about his history with the sport, about traveling and opening for the Harlem Globetrotters, about the early history of the disc golf side of things. It was a blast getting that kind of insight into the past with John. And he's a legend of the sport, but for overall disc sports, not just disc golf, he did everything. He won the overall world championships in 1977 and had a big impact on the sport, but why does he come into the picture for this video? Why did I need to talk to him? Well, he played in the 1974 American Flying Disc Open, and he almost won it. John was able to give me so much info for this video that honestly it wouldn't have been possible to make, so big shout out to John Frizzwiz Kirkland. 1974, Flying Disc Open winner gets a car. But it wasn't just disc golf. It was actually a two-part event. The first part was disc golf, which, based upon your placement, you would receive points. Now the main difference would be the targets. The basket we now have was not created yet, and they didn't use a pole in the ground. Instead, they turned to ball golf for a solution. Instead of having a hole in the ground where your ball falls into, this event would use that idea and do raised ground holes with wood and chicken wire where you had to land your disc into the raised hole to count as finishing. From what John said, this was the biggest learning curve of the event because you had to figure out how to putt properly, which didn't have a regular method created yet. The second part of the event would be double disc court. Invented by the tournament director Jim Palmieri, double disc court would be, obvious enough, a doubles event, so you had to team up with another player in the event. So how it works is that you have two sides of the court, 13 meters squared with 17 meters separating the spaces. Two discs are in play. You can score points by landing in your opponent's side without going out of bounds, or by having the opponent hold two discs at the same time. A little more confusing than a regular round of disc golf, but an interesting discipline. So for the actual event, John Kirkland would win this section of the tournament, but he came in fourth for the disc golf part of things. Here's the eventual winner on the right, Dan Roddick, who won the disc golf portion and placed third in the doubles disc court. Handing him his trophy is Jim Palmieri. From the information I was able to get out of John, it seemed at the time, whether you were a great athlete or had great skill with the frisbee, it was really about adjustments. With an event like the Flying Disc Open, it was about who could figure out how to play the new disciplines better than others. With the ground holes, it came down to putting. with the double disc court, it had a lot to do with team chemistry and just learning the discipline in general. With the sport being so young, you had to adapt. It is not what the sport is now. It's new generations that now control what happens with disc golf, where a lot of the players weren't even born when this event happened, like me. But when it comes down to it, the 1974 American Flying Disc Open will go down in history as the first disc golf event where the winner won a brand new Datsun B210. From 1974 to 2023, the tournament is still going, but this time just rounds of disc golf. Not a huge event on the Pro Tour, but a Silver Series is still pretty sweet. 50 years of disc golf events, that's got to be one of, if not the longest running events in the sport. Sadly, the tournament would be overshadowed by having the World Championships just a week later, so there wasn't much for top tier competition. But it was still a great tournament to watch. Super wooded course with a couple familiar faces. Ezra Robinson would battle it out with Matty O. In the end, Robinson taking the trophy, which I kind of want to highlight. Steering wheel definitely fits home with the theme. Would be kind of crazy if they offered a car to the winner every year since 1974, but that would be impossible. But the steering wheel fits. Disc golf has ridiculous trophies as it is, but in regards to storytelling, historical wise, I'm a fan of this one. I wonder if Robinson could somehow change his actual steering wheel with the trophy. That would be a hard flex, just driving around with your win.
We want to congratulate a wet MPO champion of Jim Palmieri's 50th American Flying Disc Open with the trophy presented by Jim Palmieri to Ezra Robinson.
Without the efforts of Jim Palmieri and many in his class, we would not be commentating this tournament today, Nate.
We're all coming, playing here in Rochester. We have fun playing disc golf in Rochester, and the more people that come and play, the more fun we have. Thank you, guys.
Wise words.
Now, it's only on Twitter that I see this information, so I can't 100% trust it, like it was a Twitter comment regarding the trophy, but it's interesting information. In regards to both the FPO and MPO steering wheel trophies, apparently they were able to source from the actual 1974 Datsun B210 cars. So the steering wheel you're seeing is way more connected than you may think. Hopefully someone in the comments can confirm that this is actually true, because if it is, that's pretty sweet. You get a win and a literal piece of history. Possibly. I love looking back at events like this and seeing just how far the game of disc golf has come. Like, it's wild seeing the first winner to now the most recent one with Ezra Robinson holding the wheel of the car. It's pretty special, honestly. Special thanks to the 1974 runner-up John Kirkland, who has a huge help with the video. If you guys want more content like this, comment down below any historical moments that are worth covering. Like and subscribe and all that jazz, and we will see you guys next time.